Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So for anyone who's new, welcome, and I hope you hit that subscribe button before you leave. Today I'm going to be doing a very different type of video. I'm going to be doing the similarities and the differences between Melbourne and Vancouver. Obviously Melbourne is in Australia, Vancouver is here in Canada where I am right now. So I've only lived in Vancouver for under 2 years, but I just wanted to sort of give an overall sense of like the huge differences and the huge similarities that I noticed from being a Melburnian at heart. So backstory, lived in Melbourne 25 years, or I guess 23 years, because I spent 2 of those on the Gold Coast in Queensland. So yes, I've lived in 3 different cities, but Melbourne, yeah, the majority of my life. So yeah, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and I hope you enjoy, and let me know if you have any huge similarities differences that you would have said and that I missed out. Okay, the first difference that is very, very obvious to I think anyone who moves from Australia in general to Canada is the temperature. Overall, Melbourne is obviously at the southern part of Australia, so yes, it does get cold. Yes, there is snow on the mountains. Yes, you wear jumpers and scarves. I don't think people realize that Australia is very big, and there's like north and south and east and west and the center. So there's lots of different temperatures going on, and you'd think that Melbourne and Vancouver would be very similar in terms of temperature, but it's still very cold here. Like overall from November to March, you're gonna be in a puffy jacket, gloves, thermals, hats, scarves, everything to cover any exposed skin, because it is bloody freezing in Vancouver. I don't care what anyone tells you. Melbourne is cold, sure, but it's not Vancouver cold. So that would be a huge difference to me, and especially if you're from other places in Australia, like making the move over to Canada. Vancouver is the warmest city. It's on the west coast, not the east coast. We don't get snow here like Toronto or Winnipeg or Saskatchewan or wherever you're going. But yeah, just really prepare. People say buy the stuff here, like if you don't have the winter woolies, but I've not bought anything from here. I've been given like gloves and stuff, but the stuff that I bought in Melbourne has, yeah, survived me in Vancouver. So don't panic if you don't have any winter stuff. You'll be okay, but just know that yes, it does snow. It doesn't snow like the East Coast, but it does snow. It has snowed. The 2 winters that I've been here, it snowed. So don't let anyone fool you when they say it doesn't, because it does. And yeah, the city doesn't really know how to cope in the snow, but that's a whole nother video. So yes, the huge difference would be the temperature. Melbourne, you know, we have a couple of months of winter. It doesn't feel like months and months and months that Vancouver is. So just be aware that from November to March, it's gonna be raining a lot, it's gonna be very cold, and it might snow in January, February. Just letting you know. Another huge difference for me is the population. Population density, it's stronger here in Vancouver. I feel like everyone's more packed in terms of the city is more populated with all the housing. Whereas in Melbourne, there's 4 million people over Vancouver's 600,000 people, but you don't feel like there's that many people in Melbourne City because the Melbourne CBD, which is the central business district, is not as, like, no one's really living there. Like no one's living in the center of the city, whereas Vancouver has been more planned, that there are condos and apartments everywhere, and it's very accessible to live downtown. And yeah, that's what I've noticed in terms of the population. Vancouver's a lot quieter. It's just a overall quieter city than Melbourne. Another similarity that I found between the 2 cities is the water element. So in Melbourne, Melbourne City is on a bay beach. So there's no sharks, maybe sometimes, but it's a bay beach, it's protected, it's not surf, it's not like what you imagine Australia to be. So you can swim there, it's really safe, and you can leave work on a Friday night in the CBD area, get on a tram and go to the beach with your friends, and it'll take you, like, with traffic, like maybe half an hour less. So yeah, both cities are surrounded by water. Melbourne water I would swim in. I wouldn't swim in Vancouver water. Again, whole nother video, E. coli. So they've got that water element. So that's similar aesthetically, and it's not as jarring to be like, okay, Melbourne, you've got the river. Vancouver has False Creek. Okay, there's a bay beach. I can, you know, paddle if you really wanted to, and I'm not gonna get you know, crashed by a wave, same as Melbourne. So that's a real big similarity for me that I've noticed. But yeah, definitely be cautious putting your head under the water here. With all the tankards, I think, tanks, you know, the big ships that are bringing the container ships that is Vancouver's kind of famous for. I just wouldn't trust the water, and I'm very snobby with my water being an Australian, so just keep that in mind. Another difference that I've noticed that I'm not sure is a huge one that people pick up on is I guess the schools and universities. I feel Melbourne City has a lot of really high caliber and great unis with great reputations, whether it be Monash or Melbourne University is obviously amazing, and RMIT, which is the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, which is a uni but also a TAFE, it's confusing. But anyway, there are huge unis in Melbourne that people from other parts of Australia, other parts of the world will travel to study because they're amazing. Victoria is not the education state for no reason, let me tell you. So if you're wanting that student fun party life, I think stay in Melbourne, do your school there, then travel to Vancouver. But like, yeah, Vancouver has UBC, which is the University of British Columbia, which in itself is beautiful. It's got its whole little sub-city over there. It's in my sight, like actually here, I can sort of see it in the distance, like where the trees are, where it is. It's its own little populace. They've got everything they need on campus. It's more like, you know, British Columbia's version of an Ivy League, in my opinion, being an Australian. So amazing reputation, very hard to get in. So if you didn't get in there and you're from Vancouver, I don't know if the universities surrounding there aren't that many, or if it's worth it, or if they're that good, in my opinion. So yeah, I just think that Melbourne as a whole has better schooling. Another thing that I've noticed is Melbourne is definitely more an arts hub than Vancouver. So Vancouver has, you know, pockets of artsy areas, a couple of galleries here and there, cool things to do, like festivals and things like that around crafts and art and things like that. But overall, I think there's a huge difference between Melbourne and Vancouver because of that artsy hub that Melbourne is and it's known for. So the graffiti lanes that became, I guess, a huge thing in the 90s, and you go to Melbourne, like CBD, to see them. And I think Ed Sheeran played in one once. Like, they're a big deal, like Hosier Lane and things like that. So people travel all over the world to see our laneways and our cafe culture and our arts hubs. So there's so many museums. There's only a few in Vancouver, so that's a huge difference for me, someone who's very creative. So NGV, the National Gallery of Victoria, is one of my favorites, and so is ACME, which is the Australian Centre for Moving Image, I think, or of Moving Image. I'll put the real name up here. They're smack bang like in the middle of the CBD, like you get off the train or the tram and you are a few minutes walk away from those, which is amazing, and it's very accessible. I think you don't have to be super, super rich to go to our museums in Melbourne. And also on the opposite end of the spectrum, there are more sports stadiums and more sporting things to do in Melbourne. We've got the tennis every year, we've got the footy, we've got the cricket, and you know, you can see footy players train or rugby players train. It's just sort of a very sporty and artsy city, which I love that there's the balance of the two. Of course, Vancouver has the Vancouver Canucks, and there's hockey here, and there's rugby, but it's not like a sports city, in my opinion. That's what I've just noticed. Okay guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there with my similarities and differences between Melbourne and Vancouver. I love Melbourne so, so much, but I'm loving living in Vancouver. I don't know how long I'll be here for, but I love both cities. I'm not gonna say equally. Melbourne at the moment will always be my number one, but there are amazing things in both cities. And yeah, if you are coming to Vancouver, let me know in the comments below. I can try and give you some other tips if you're an Aussie or if you're from anywhere else in the world. But love both cities, both are amazing in different ways. There are so many more that I could talk about, and obviously there are so many things that I'll probably think of after I edit this video, but please let me know what are your huge, I guess, main similarities and differences between the two cities that you've noticed, whether it be you know, your work life or meeting people. It is very hard to meet people in Vancouver, just letting you know. Or whether it be the nature. Melbourne is very close to the Dandenong Ranges. Vancouver has Grouse Mountain, Cypress Mountain, like difference in like the nature that is around them. But maybe you think that Vancouver has more nature. Maybe you think that Melbourne has better nature. Please let me know in the comments below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Did I think your smile would bloom in so